I walked out of the theater thoroughly enjoying this new Ghostbusters movie, and it was so much better than the Ghostbusters movie we had in 2016. Let's talk about it.
You went with station wagon?
It's the only one that had an engine.
So right off the bat, I kind of want to say that I'm not the biggest Ghostbusters fan. I'm not really of the age where Ghostbusters was really my generation. I've seen the movies and I've always enjoyed the movies, but it wasn't something I necessarily really grew up with like maybe some other people did. So I don't have this really nostalgia trip when it comes to the Ghostbusters movie. So even though I hated the one that came out a few years ago in 2016, I didn't feel like offended by it or anything. What I will say before I really get into like the nitty gritty of this movie is if you are a Ghostbusters fan, and even if you're not a fan as well, but if you are a Ghostbusters fan, you are going to enjoy Ghostbusters Afterlife. And the other cool thing I think this movie really does is if you haven't even seen the other Ghostbusters movies, the first two, you can go and watch this movie. And yeah, sure, there's going to be some certain references and everything you may not catch on to, but you're still going to really enjoy yourself. And that's all credit to Jason Reitman, who directed this movie, and basically everybody else that made this movie happen, is the fact that Ghostbusters Afterlife doesn't try to squash what came before. It very much is a continuation of the first two Ghostbusters movie, but it also tries to kind of create its own path in a way and everything. And I really liked it for that, because when it comes to sequels, I always like when sequels try to do stuff differently while also respecting the source material that came before it. And Ghostbusters Afterlife does a really good job of that movie. And the biggest standout in this movie to me is definitely Paul Rudd's character. I like Paul Rudd in just about everything he's in. Like, for me, the Ant-Man movies are kind of like whatever, but the fact that Paul Rudd's in the movie and just his just the charisma and everything he brings to the role of Ant-Man, it really like brings those movies out. And I feel like the same thing with this movie. Like, there's just certain aspects of this movie where you think, had they gotten any other actor to play that role, I feel like some of the parts could have been a little bit boring, but it's Paul Rudd. I mean, you cannot go wrong with Paul Rudd. He just, he leaps off the screen. He was my favorite part of this movie, along with the mother of the kids, who was played by Carrie Coon. I think she also did a really good job, and she was my other second standout of the movie. And another thing I loved about this movie was that this movie has heart. Something that the 2016 Ghostbusters was really lacking. What I mean by heart is you could just tell that everybody involved in making this film, Jason Reitman, the film, the crew, everything, and even just down to the way the story and everything is, it has heart to it. I mean, the story, it's a very basic premise, right? You're in this small town, you got some kids, you got your adults, some ghosty stuff starts happening, and it's all kind of the characters trying to figure out, all right, what exactly is going on here, while also you're going to put in your nostalgia moments and everything like that. But nothing in this movie ever really felt like a cash grab to me, because the 2016 version itself, it really felt like, okay, we're just going to slap Ghostbusters on it. We're going to get some SNL comedy actors to basically come in. We're going to throw some jokes, and we're going to call it a day. This movie, the jokes actually work in this Ghostbusters Afterlife movie. I found myself laughing quite a bit, and the movie actually had heart. It didn't seem like Sony was just like, oh, hey, let's make a Ghostbusters movie and cash in again. This movie did not feel like a cash in, and that was refreshing to me, because it really felt like every single person working on this movie actually cared. And it was just, I think the reason that was just so refreshing to me is just because how much I really disliked the 2016 version of Ghostbusters. And that's coming from someone who, like I said earlier in the review, isn't even like a huge Ghostbusters fan. So this movie was really refreshing in just the fact that it had heart. And I love watching movies where you can tell that everybody involved, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera, actually gives a damn about the product that they're making. And I really do not have any issues with this movie. If I had to really sit there and nitpick, I guess I could say that maybe some of the pacing was a little bit wonky in certain aspects. Maybe there are some scenes that could be cut out, but that's really getting nitpicky. But I'll tell you this, the last 10 minutes of this movie are absolutely phenomenal. And the last 10 minutes basically wipe away anything negative I have to say about the movie. And the last 10 minutes goes to show what I was just talking about before. It's all about heart, all right? This movie, I feel like I sound like a broken record because I keep talking about the fact that this movie had heart. But that's like the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway I have come away with this movie is that everybody actually cared. And the last 10 minutes had me feeling so satisfied. And that's coming from someone like me who's not even a huge Ghostbusters fan. And you could go into this movie having not even seen the original two movies, like I said before, and still have an absolutely fantastic time with this movie, even with the last 10 minutes of this movie. And that's what's so cool, is that if you're a fan, they bring you in. If you're not a fan, if you haven't seen the other movies, they bring you in. I mean, this movie is for everybody. So it's not just for old school fans, and that's why I loved it. It was just a fun time at the movie theaters, and I really cannot recommend this movie enough. I mean, if you have not seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, I'm telling you, go and see it in the theater. It's definitely worth the price of admission, especially just the last 10 minutes of the movie. It was so awesome. And once again, that's coming from someone like me who likes, the original two Ghostbusters movies, but I'm not like the biggest fan of them. I didn't grow up with them or anything, but I really like this movie. I'm honestly, I may go see it again, take my girlfriend or something and maybe go see it, because I liked it that much. So listen, if you haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, go and see it. And if you have seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you back in my next one.
Go, go, go!
Ghostbusters, we're ready to believe you.
We're closed.